The picture you're looking at here is an image of the cover and the first page within a scholarly journal. This is the Eudora Welty Review that was published in the spring of 2014. So a couple things to note here. Not a lot of color other than the text. No images. It's a very plain cover here. And then on the right, you'll notice that we get information about the editorial board, the advisory board, the interns, the assistants, the editor, associate editor. So it's front and center in a scholarly journal information about the journal. It's not something you have to search for. It's something that is obvious. This is an article that I found in this particular issue of the Eudora Welty Review, A Penny to Spare, the Question of Charity and Rise of Social Security. And note here, again, no pictures. There may be pictures in a scholarly journal, but they're rare because they're expensive. And often they have no color when they do include them. But when they include a picture, it is meant to contribute to the article's argument. Also, note just below the title, it's obvious who wrote the article, Annette Trevzer from the University of Mississippi. So we know then that the article has an institutional affiliation with the University of Mississippi and thus is an expert in this topic rather than some random, possibly anonymous person writing on a topic that they may or may not be an expert in. I did not include the entire article in the image here, but if you notice, we began on page 98 and ended on page 111. So this is right at 13 or 14 pages. And at the end of the article, it's immediately followed by footnotes, just about 3 pages of notes, as well as the works cited page. So again, not a lot of extra stuff here. I wish I could let you hold the journal so you could fill the pages, but it's very sparse. It's just the text. Scholarly journals visually are quite boring. The content can be fascinating, and it often is, but the purpose of these articles are to pass on information and not entertain you. And this is notably different than a popular source. So for example, let's look at a popular source. This is a magazine, a news magazine called The New Yorker, a very respected news magazine, but at the same time, it's not a scholarly source. Now, it should be obvious right now from the very beginning the drastic differences in the visual presentation of these popular articles, popular magazines versus scholarly journals. Look at all of the color and the images that will attract a reader and perhaps entice them to want to purchase this magazine. Now, just to compare, let's look again at the Eudora Welty Review. Drastic difference, right? Only color here is the text itself, whereas the popular source is full of color and graphics and images. And this continues throughout. In this issue of the New Yorker, once we turn the page, just simply turning the cover, you're going to notice the first thing you see is an advertisement for a car. Has nothing to do at all with the journal or with the magazine or with any of the content therein. This is about sales and making money. And if we turn again, you'll notice and then on the right, we get a little bit more information about the contributors for this volume, and down at the bottom, a little bit of information for subscribers, but it offers virtually no information about the magazine itself as compared to the Eudora Welty Review and most scholarly journals that will include at least one, if not more, pages of information about the journal itself. So these are really clear points of difference between the scholarly and the popular sources. And note here too, even on this page where we do get a little bit of information about the journal here, it's accompanied with an advertisement. Popular sources are going to have a lot of advertisements. So we're going to turn the page, and again, more advertisements. We'll have one on the left for a Citibank debit or credit card, probably a credit card, and then on the right we have another image of advertisement for earrings. So advertisements are going to be throughout popular sources in lots of color. Now here's an example of an actual article within the New Yorker, titled "The Dream Deferred," referring to the American Dream. The subtitle, Bernie Sanders' Not Quite Finished Campaign by Benjamin Wallace Wells. Well, who is Benjamin Wallace Wells? We don't know. The magazine does not tell us. Is Mr. Wallace Wells an expert? Does he have graduate training on politics and the American dream? Does he have an institutional affiliation? We don't know. He very well may, but the point is, for doing scholarly research, you shouldn't rely on arguments on articles where you just don't know who the author is. It's very important to know if the author is actually an expert or not. Also note that I have no other page to turn to. There are no footnotes, and it's very short. This is 2 pages. That's it. Right here at the bottom, you get a little diamond shape to indicate the article is at its end, but I see no in-text citations and no footnotes and no reference list. There are citations, or not citations, there are quotes where individuals are quoted, but we have no source for these quotes. So we cannot independently verify this information. And for your papers, you're going to need to be able to verify the information, and that's the part of the importance of quotes. So now that I've illustrated for you the clear difference between scholarly and popular sources, let's go back to the website and we'll actually look at some sources in the database that you can potentially use for your paper.